Welcome to Squatch-D where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
Good evening, cyberspace. Happy Easter, everybody. Today's date is April 20th, 2025. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, along with my co-host right down there, Mr. Chris Bennett. Hello, Chris. How are you, brother?
Man, it's good to see you.
Happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter to you, bud, and happy Easter to everybody that celebrates Easter. For everybody else, happy Sunday. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here with us. But it's been a great day. I mean, not too hot, not too cold.
Weather beautiful today.
A little cloudy, but that's okay. You know, as long as it's not raining on us, we're not going to complain. Not complaining, just reporting. Nope. So how's things been going in New York for you, brother?
Oh, it's been a marvelous day. I did the old church service with my daughter and my two of my grandkids today. And we didn't tell my grandkids I was there. So I went into the daycare center they have for the kids. She says, go get them. And, my one grandson, my little guy, he was playing with a little girl, a little flirt. And I tapped him on the shoulder. He turns around, he looks up, and his eye went, oh, wow. Right? Then I couldn't find my granddaughter. Of course, she's in the corner surrounded by other people, and they're working on stuff. I don't know what they were working on, coloring books or something. She's like, being the boss. Right. And I say, excuse me, young lady. And she looks up and then she turns around, runs, and then jumps into my arms. I mean, literally jumps on me.
Well, that's great. Glad
so I have to catch her, and it was a fun time.
I got a new thing in the mail today. The Squatch Detective Guide to Bigfoot Investigations.
Why? Jeez. Who wrote that?
And looks like some guy. I don't know. You ever heard of this guy, Steve Kulls?
Nah, I haven't heard of him. Any good?
Well, I've just reviewed the first couple of pages yet because I just got it today. Yes, and I know people are going to say, he got that on Easter Sunday. Yes, I did. USPS delivered on Easter Sunday.
Yeah, well, so my church is, as we turn into this long driveway to the church, there is a U.S. Postal place, and they were all working today. Yeah. Now you see, work tried to call me in today, yesterday they asked if I wanted to work today, but I work 6 days a week already. Yeah. So I don't need to. No, I don't want to work 15 days in a row.
Well, everybody needs a little time off.
Plus I had my thing with my daughter today and such.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, money is good, but spend the time with the family and away from work. What's all the money in the world gonna do you if you don't have time to enjoy the family or enjoy your own time away?
And I got to say, I don't know if anybody notices. I think probably Steve's not wearing earbuds anymore. I am. They're just black.
Yeah.
Nice pair of Sony earbuds, man. They are really good.
Can't see the wires now.
No.
The white usually it stood out, but
you can't even really see them in the ears.
Yeah, I could catch just a little line.
Just a little bit, but yeah.
That's it. But no, it looks like you're not wearing anything at all, which is kind of provocative to say, I guess.
I was going to say.
Regarding earbuds, yeah, it looks like you're not wearing anything at all.
He's not wearing anything at all.
The chat is most definitely hopping tonight. You guys are really going to town over there. Hey.
All right, let's do the roll call and get on with what we have to get on with tonight. Boy, have we got a great show lined up for you. And we've been employing some new technology on things. And Chris has actually got my show notes, which is awesome. Yes. So we can actually see what the heck. But let's
Can I change them in the middle of the show? While you're
Thanks.
I'm gonna start putting different words.
Yes, the Bigfoot is about 7 foot tall, and he wears a diaper. No, what the hell are you writing, Chris?
Oh man. Oh, but
okay. First in tonight was our good friend Relic Hominin, who came in when the show was announced. So they'll catch us on the replay. So we'll catch you on the flip, Relic. Mick is next in today at 2:41 p.m. And then we got Sharon. Grant Rasha, hello, happy Easter. Roy Longley, hello, representing the Lurkers. Hello, Roy, good to see you. The Susie Monster, hello, Susie. Walter Kroll, good to see you. Hope everything is fine in the great state of Massachusetts, the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts, excuse me. Chet, why not? Hello, Chet, good to see you in again. And there's Danny Weeks in the house. Good to see you, Danny. Grasshopper, what's happening? Karen Fisher, happy Easter to you as well. Bristol, what's going on, brother? Danny, there's Danny again. Jen, what's happening? Jen, Jen and Barron. My office assistant is, well, he's checking under the engine right now, but my turn. But the office assistant had a nice ham bone earlier, so he's kind of like, I don't think he'll be bothering me tonight. Let's see, who else is in? Grant, Jen, Grant, Sharon, Sandra Piper. Hello, Sandra. Good to see you, Sandra. Finding the Trackway. Bill, happy Easter to you.
Hey, Bill.
Angel Nolan. Hello, Angel. Jay Carey. Good to see you, Jay. Kaiju Ninja 1985. Hello. Boris Kahn in the house. Gary Johnson Sr., hello.
Gary? I'm lost. Mick says, Steve, Chris, don't y'all think it's about time you guys get a haircut? Haven't had one since before Blog Talk Radio. That's true.
That's right.
That's true. I actually do get a haircut about every day. At least every other day, I'll shave the old noggin. So that would technically count as, because I am cutting hair.
Traveling with Jim. Hello, Jim, my good buddy Jim. Who else? They're saying my mic is a little hot. Let me back it off a little bit.
It's loud and clear. Maybe it might be just a tad louder than it was last week.
All right, I just pulled it back a little bit, so that probably will be a little bit better, I hope.
That sounds better to me.
Yep. Mrs. Trackway, Deb, hello, how are you?
Trackway.
Timberline Camp, good to see you.
Timberline Camp, welcome. Oh, wow, look, Larry Sharp.
There he is. Member for 8 months. Wow, thank you, Larry. Happy Easter, y'all. And happy Easter back at ya. Lori Gibbs, hello, Lori. Good to see you. Happy Easter. Boom, boom, rolling. Now we're at the point. Well, okay, we're at the end. So we're good.
I got lost a little while ago. So if we missed anybody, it's not because we don't love you.
Right.
There's a lot of chat, a lot of comments in the chat room today. And again, hello, Roy.
I Like Ike is in the house also.
I Like Ike. Welcome. And
he is tuning in, but he's got a tornado warning, so you stay safe. Thank you, Lori.
Lori Gibbs, $3 super sticker. Thank you,
Thank you.
Too kind.
Okay, let's get into our, we're going to do something a little different. I have a monologue set up for the night. I think we're going to set the tone of the show. We're going to do a monologue each week or when I have time to set one up. So here we are. So today we're diving headfirst into a topic that's been long overdue. For a hard look, the media's role in shaping the perception of Bigfoot research, not with curiosity, not even with objectivity, but with condescension. Back in 1967, the Patterson-Gimlin film exploded onto the scene like a thunderclap from Bluff Creek. At first, the press was curious, cautious, intrigued. They actually reported findings, footprint cast, eyewitness accounts. They actually did this with an open mind. Shows like In Search Of gave the subject a serious platform. Even skeptical scientists were willing to debate the evidence. Bigfoot wasn't a joke, it was a legitimate mystery. But then came the shift. By the 80s and 90s, something changed. The press started rolling their eyes instead of rolling tape. Bigfoot was shoved into the odd news pile, right between Elvis sightings and the backyard UFO. They were no longer asking, could this be real? But rather, why were these people still talking about this? By the 80s, then in 2002, the media found their golden ticket to dismiss it all. The so-called Roger Patterson confession. Only it wasn't a confession. It wasn't even connected to the Patterson-Gimlin film. They confused Ray Wallace with Patterson, even claiming Patterson died in 2002. That was the year Ray Wallace died. Patterson died actually in 1972. But Wallace hadn't confessed either. That didn't stop the headlines from claiming Bigfoot had been debunked. Suddenly, mistaken identity, a man with some wooden feet, and a contradictory family story became the new author of the Sasquatch legend. ABC News even falsely claimed Wallace faked the Patterson film, despite Patterson again dying 30 years earlier. Let that sink in. One of the most studied films in cryptozoological history got swept under the rug because of a journalist's mistake, and no one corrected it.
Right.
But yet a mere citizen, me, in 2002, without any formal journalistic training, found the truth of it all, informed them of it, and they failed to correct it or even acknowledge they were wrong. Then Bob Hieronymus, the man in the suit, or so he said. He passed a polygraph on national TV, and the media ran with it. But nobody mentioned that Roger Patterson also passed a polygraph in 1968. That Bob Gimlin has never changed his story. That no one's ever produced a suit matching what's in the film. Instead, the media cherry-picked the air that fit their angle, and they ran with it. And today, we've got data scientists writing statistical papers about bear populations, and then the press jumps in, see, it was just a bear the whole time. Even when those very scientists admit their studies don't disprove Bigfoot, nuance gets thrown out the window for a catchy headline. That's not journalism, folks. It's yellow journalism. It's clickbait. It's spin. So in this episode, we're breaking down of how legacy media helped shape the ridicule around Bigfoot research. We're going to explore the factual missteps, the double standards, the misquotes, and the moments when the press chose the narrative over nuance. Because it's time to ask the real questions. Who's actually been doing the hoaxing here? And is it the creature in the woods or the storytellers behind the desk? That's my narrative.
Yeah. Yeah. I can remember all the news coverage came out when Ray Wallace died, and all the fake stories. Oh, the Patterson-Gimlin film is revealed as a hoax.
Yep.
Whoa, wait a minute. Now, Ray Wallace did have some very familiar-looking stompers, all right, and he may have hoaxed some of the tracks that were found, but not at the Patterson-Gimlin site.
Correct.
That would come much later.
Well, we're going to get right into that too. So Kaiju Ninja asked, did Bob H. pass a lie detector test? Well, he did. He was on a show called Lie Detector, narrated by F. Lee Bailey. And the polygrapher was a man by the name of Dr. Larry Gelb. But Dr. Larry Gelb, apparently, years later, it was found that he got his doctorate from an unaccredited school, and that it was known to be a diploma mill. So that caused a lot of disconsternation as to the accuracy and veracity of any of the lie detector tests he did for the show.
Right. Was
it just TV? Was it just entertainment? Let's say he failed. Let's say he passed the test to give this a big dramatic, So I'm getting the eye from the office assistant. Apparently he wants to leave now.
Okay. Jen said my mic was a little low, so I'm going to set it on automatically adjust mic volume. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't hear myself, so I don't know.
I can hear you just fine.
All right. Well, that's fine.
Yep. So anyway, yes, let's click to the slide here. And so yeah, media bias in reporting. There's been institutional bias, and it's been a systemic pretense for skeptical viewpoints. Anytime they do put what they call a legitimate sighting, they're always the hokey ones, right? Most of the time, they're the hokey ones. That's right.
Grant Rashna says, if the Bigfoot slipper didn't fit, you must acquit.
That's right. Of course, distorting facts. And I got a great piece of I got a great receipt tonight proving that. And this article just came out on the 12th of April. Sensationalism, also part of this one that came out on the 12th. Mm-hmm. Media focusing on sensational stories over factual reporting. You know, what's exciting about somebody seeing a Bigfoot run across the road? No, they want to have the Bigfoot that mind spoke to somebody and it turned into a deer or something else and, vanished or popped into the UFO. Now, that's a story. Yeah. That way we can the anchors can go back, it's for all eyes and all that fake bill.
They want a heavy dose of woo added.
No, they want a heavy dose of let's get a laugh out of it and get a lot of watchers to pay attention or tune in. And ignoring the real evidence, media neglecting evidence that supports Bigfoot's existence.
Sasquatch Secrets, welcome, Nikki.
That's right. So, and by the way, tonight we're going to do something. We are going to take a top of the hour break tonight, and we have provided some good entertainment for you. I think. I don't know. You sampled it. What do you think? Is it good entertainment?
I like the two of them. Yeah, very much so.
All right, cool. Very good. Very good. And there's only two of them. So, let's look at the facts. Ray Wallace never faked the Patterson-Gimlin film. He never faked any tracks there, and we'll get into that. He died in 2002. Patterson died in 1972. Different men, different stories. ABC News falsely claimed Wallace confessed to faking the film, and they never corrected it. The New York Times misquoted a scientist in 2003 to back the headline that Bigfoot was invented. Okay, people think that Bigfoot began in 1958 when there's been going on 3 centuries now of Bigfoot reports coming out of North America.
Yeah.
Bob Hieronymus passed a TV polygraph and got headlines. Patterson passed a real one, and then the press was silent. And that was actually the reason why he took that. Patterson took that test was that the publisher of a newspaper that wanted to print the article in the magazine. I forget which one. I think it was Argosy magazine.
Argosy, yes, sir.
Right. They were going to print that article about it, but before they would print it, they would have him take a polygraph to make sure they weren't publishing bullshit.
Right.
And that is real good journalism.
Yeah.
That's the way journalism used to be.
But
somehow in this age, they've gotten lazy. And I will say this, 90% of the misreporting on Bigfoot is laziness. It's how quick we can get a story out to get views and likes and clicks, so our advertisers can be pacified, and we can justify the rates to the advertisers for advertising on our websites, on our channels, etc., etc.
That Argosy article about Roger Patterson, in which they tell he took the lie detector test, is the only information available and the only place I've ever seen that, and that's in that very article of that magazine that you own. Right. Nowhere else was that printed anywhere. Not that I can find. If somebody else has found it, let me know. But it's like it's not almost like it's exactly like they buried it. It has been buried, this fact. Yep. For some reason.
Yep. Media outlets love skeptical studies, even when their own authors say this doesn't disprove Bigfoot. We're going to prove that too. We're going to show that example. It's amazing how many of these paradigms fit into this one article. And see, my whole goal is to do all the presented material by the 10 o'clock, take our break, and then open it up for discussion with the floor.
Okay.
So, folks, hold your questions for until after the break tonight. That's what we're going to try to do this a little more structured. And I think people will enjoy the show a little bit more.
There's Matt, Central Kentucky Bigfoot. I like the name, Matt. That's a good one.
It's just bears. Gets more coverage than thousands of reports that don't fit that explanation. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there was another, and I didn't include this in today's because it wasn't really a mainstream media outlet. It was actually some website, and they blogged out about Flo Foxon study again. So I rebutted that. I wrote them a nice little email back, and I sent them my scientific paper on that critically examines Flo Foxon study. Right. So let's see if that makes the paper. I doubt it. I doubt it. But let's see how unbiased they really are. Right? Remember, legacy media built this narrative. Laugh at Bigfoot, ignore real evidence. Why do you think they had the Ketchum study on the friggin' news conference? Because they knew it was bullshine. They've been following that story from day one. They knew it was baloney. Let her say her thing. It makes us look stupid. Right? And the bias is institutional. Remember, you may believe in Bigfoot, but don't say that around here. Don't say that around here. Yeah. Right? And I think the reason why my mic is hot is because I was talking too close. I have it actually set now so I can sit back and talk without. Tackle Tactician is in the house as well.
Tackle Tactician.
And Nikki from Sasquatch Secrets is in as well. Hello, everybody.
We've got a growing Kentucky crew in here now.
I know.
Glad to see you guys.
And finally, Bigfoot research isn't dead. It's just ignored. The evidence deserves a real look, not a late night joke. And that's really important to me. So, all right, next slide. Whoop. So let's take a look at how this all started with this LA Times article. Here's a quote from it. And of course, it was about the finding of the stompers on Ray Wallace. And it was written by Scott Martell in the LA Times on December 6, 2002. And, it goes on to say, especially since Wallace's version of Bigfoot arose August 5th, 1958, when he used 16-inch model of human foot, a friend carved from alderwood, to leave tracks around logging gear as a prank on a fellow logger. Well, that's interesting how they came to all that, because Ray Wallace never confessed.
No.
He did not. You would think that there was some sort of confession. There wasn't. He died. The family found the stompers in the garage.
Yeah.
And all the rest is just supposition. Right. It's like I say, let me go back to, it's the MK Davis way of coming up with evidence. We see this, let's build a story around it. It doesn't matter if there's no proof to it. Let's just build a story around it. Right? And that's essentially what the Wallace family did, and that's essentially what the newspapers ran with. Yeah. And then, as you can see, those stompers that are in the picture on the right, which are the ones they found, do not match the one Jerry Crew is holding that he found in 1958. Not even close.
Exactly.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Of course, we know that Jerry Crew had spoken to Bob Titmus, and Bob Titmus showed him how to make the cast, how to cast tracks.
Right.
And,
the cast.
I have some more commentary on those stompers in a bit on our next slide.
Okay.
And then it's John Green's assertion. They do look like the Blue Creek, the Blue Ridge footprints. However, it was John Green's assertion, and I actually, when I interviewed him in 2006 or 2007. And that was also on the tribute show, him talking about this. It was John Green's assertion that that Ray Wallace had Rant Mullins fashion the stompers after the Blue Ridge mountain tracks, not the other way around. So, and we're going to get into more of this. Exactly right. There's so many untrue photos and evidence we have to wade through. Yep, absolutely. Have to separate the wheat from the chaff. Okay. Now, even on the history.com, the History Channel's website, this one was written, I had the name of the person. No, I didn't have the name of the, no, I did have the name of this person who wrote this, but I seem to have lost it. But anyway, again, this was also after Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin released their famous video footage in 1967. Actually, it wasn't video footage, it was film footage.
Yeah.
There's a difference. Supposedly showing a Bigfoot in Northern California. It's worth noting that the original evidence, and I love the quote, she puts it in quotes showing her bias right there, that launched the Bigfoot case.
Right.
A trail of oversized footprints discovered in the same region in 1958 was revealed to be a prank by logger Ray Wallace in 2002. Many believe in Bigfoot. Again, you can see the bias by her putting evidence in quotes, supposedly showing a Bigfoot in Northern California, instead of using allegedly.
Right. Yeah.
But again, it was never revealed as a prank. Wallace passed away in 2002 without any deathbed convention. His family found the stompers fashioned by Rant Mullins in Wallace's shed. All the pictures of the stompers, they look pretty pristine, don't they? Right? Mm-hmm. If you go back to the other picture of the nephew holding up the stompers, there's no scratches, there's no mud on them, there's no dirt on them, right? We don't see any wear on them. When you're walking around, you would get those things scuffed up pretty goddamn good, pardon my French.
Yes.
Could they have been a gag gift from somebody? Maybe Rant Mullins fashioned them. Hey, put these on there, right?
Well,
right.
Yeah.
There's no evidence. There is no evidence that Ray Wallace ever stomped out footprints anywhere with these.
Well, there is the Onion Mountain tracks. It does have that line, and if you'll notice on the cast on the left or the stomper on the left, there's a line next to the heel on the side of the
right.
heel.
Yep.
And so that does match up with Ray Wallace's stompers, and I think that was on the Onion Mountain tracks.
Or the blue? You mean the Blue Ridge?
Blue Ridge, maybe Blue Ridge.
Blue Ridge. Right, but like I said, it's John, and I thought that too, that maybe it was that Wallace, but John Green got really defensive about that. Right. So no, but could the stompers been a gag gift? Could they have been, an idea that maybe I'm going to try to see if I can fool anybody with these? Maybe I can see how hard it is to do it.
The double features.
Yeah.
That's
we will never know because there was never a confession. And, it's only Wallace's family's claims that Wallace invented Bigfoot. Like I said, despite a century and a half of Bigfoot sightings prior to 1958.
Yeah.
In fact, I dare say it may even went back as far as 200 years. Because we have Samuel D. Champlain's story and Roger Ranger's stories and other stories about wild men, covered in hair, going on since the early 1800s. So, and again, we have pictures of. Thank you, Larry.
Oh wow, Larry Sharp gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Larry. Appreciate that. A man among men. We appreciate it.
Man among men.
But I think the Daniel Boone encounter where he supposedly shot one in the eyeball, that was like in the 1700s. So it's It's been around long before 1958.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. But again, we have the picture on the left, the one on the left side of the comparisons between Wallace's Stomper, and we have that's Jerry Crew's track, and the one on the right is the Roger Patterson track.
Right.
And they look nothing alike.
Exactly. The Stomper was whittled out to have a double ball feature, which is not found in any other tracks. Right.
Exactly. Again, I've always said that hoaxers, when they hoax tracks, they forget the actual. A lot of them are ignorant, and they forget the actual mechanics, the way a Sasquatch foot operates.
Exactly. And probably, it may have started off with that's the way the wood he had to carve them from was made.
Which almost tells me that the line that's carved in the middle of it, trying to indicate a mid-tarsal break. That's why I'm thinking John Green actually may be right. Because how would he know they would have a mid-tarsal break? But what he didn't know is that they had an extra ball of the foot.
Yeah.
They don't have a ball of the foot.
But something about wood stompers. I mean, if you damage the bottom of them, like you step on gravels or things like that nature, when you pick those out, the next time you use your stompers, that gravel pit is going to be reflected in the new track that it makes.
Right.
So they're always the same. There's no difference in the display of the toes.
I didn't think of this. I didn't really have time today, but what's the hardness of alder wood? I don't know the hardness of alder, where it stands, but that would be something to look at in the future. Is what's the hardness of alder wood, and does it dent or bruise very easily? So if they're carved out of alder wood, being on rocks may put little divots into it.
Yeah, I'm sure it would. Yeah.
Right.
Alder wood is, I believe it's considered a hardwood. It's used a lot in guitar making, and it is a heavy wood. So I think that does jive with it being a hardwood.
But does it bruise?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Right. All wood bruises.
Yes.
Like you can bruise a 2x4 really easy. Just tap it once with a hammer. Right. So if you're stomping on rocks with it,
oh yeah.
Why aren't those stompers pitted?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
Those stompers look a little pristine to me, like they had been rarely used, if at all.
And it's possible they could have been saved and used in special situations, like on the Blue Mountain logging road, where he could run along beside of the truck in the nice, poofy, soft, dusty dirt.
Or could it have been a gag gift?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, look! I carved you up some nice feet, Ray. I know how you like Bigfoot.
Well, that the line on the heel,
I mean, I gave my granddaughter these big furry slippers that look like Bigfoot feet.
Right.
It happens, especially when Okay, so Texas Jack said it's about the same as poplar, so pretty soft.
Pretty soft. Okay.
Okay, there you go. So thank you, Texas Jack.
Yeah.
So there you have it. So why aren't these stompers pitted? If they were used so much, create all these tracks that the media claims they did.
Right.
Why aren't these beat up and pitted and cracked and chipped? You would think maybe there'd be a chip on the end of them, especially on the edges. The edges would get chipped really easy when you're stomping around trying to play out tracks, right?
Right.
Not there. That is the investigator's mind looking at those, right? As it's all about the forensics of things.
Yeah, it says it's alder is a soft, relatively low-strength, straight-grained, even-textured wood. Well, I've got some guitars made from alder, specifically Fender Stratocasters.
Okay, Grasshopper, was that the Blue Ridge tracks?
Let's see.
Because I'll buy that. I mean, I have no skin in the game about the Blue Ridge, but they don't match any of the other ones.
Imperfection in the wood. Yeah, that was it, Grasshopper. That's what I've seen too. The imperfection, that long line down on the one side of the heel, it matches up perfectly with the track. Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense to me. You see, and I've always said that. I originally said that, the Blue Ridge tracks look like the only ones that Ray Wallace had kind of done, because these other ones look nothing like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And truthfully, as a person that's looked at probably over 100 tracks over the last 25 years, trackways and stuff like that, looking at misidentifications, looking at hoaxes, and looking at, a few sets of real ones,
right.
I would have to say that I look at the Blue Ridge ones and I'm very skeptical because of that wonky ball of the toe. I'm like, that doesn't look anatomically correct.
No.
In other words, the feet were very straight.
Completely different. The double ball prints were completely different from anything else.
Right. And to me, they seem to lack any type of, real biological locomotion, let me say.
Yeah.
You do get some throw off as the stomper comes out and comes up. There is some throw off. But I don't see that in tracks. You'll see this rolling almost. Even with the mid-tarsal break, you'll see a bit of a roll because that foot, that half of that foot is still rolling, right? As it comes off the indentation it makes.
Kaiju Ninja's got the whole point right here, Steve. Said the Ray Wallace tracks just don't look realistic to begin with. So how could that fool people? Well, at that point in time, there weren't a lot of experts on tracking and how something, how the foot hits the ground.
Yeah, I almost think this is just previous to Grover Krantz getting involved, because Grover Krantz got involved, I think, in the late 60s.
Right.
With the Patterson-Gimlin film and the Bosberg tracks, which were found shortly thereafter. That's what got him, because I think the Bosberg tracks were found in 1970, 71, somewhere in there. Right. So Krantz had not transitioned into that yet. So there was really not even, the only one close would be John Napier. And John Napier didn't really jump into it until the Patterson-Gimlin film in 67 either.
Right.
So the scientists didn't start getting involved until the late 60s. So and of course the Blue Ridge Mountain tracks and the was all pre-scientific.
Well, that's the thing that I've always believed too. I think there's two possibilities. The one, that there was not anybody.
So Kaiju Ninja asked, "What about John Green?" John Green was a journalist. He was not a scientist. And we need to keep that. We need to keep that.
That was qualified to judge the tracks at that time. We're lucky enough to have Dr. Meldrum, and which he could explain the locomotion of the foot. And he's written a very fine book about how feet are created and what you would need to support a creature this way. Right. And another thing would be that even if there was somebody that was capable of explaining to us how the structure of the foot would work, maybe they kept it secret. Maybe they didn't put that information out because they didn't want to further enable hoaxers. Maybe. I don't know.
But yet, let's go back to our original topic. Look at this, how they just kind of just accept. And this is what I call drive-by writing. This doesn't take a brain. This doesn't take any investigative. Oh, well, this was all done before and blah, 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 blah. Just repeating the lie. That's all they're doing is just repeating a lie. It's the same thing we see from a lot of these clickbait, right? We see a pattern here. These clickbait channels that post same pictures over and over and over again that we've seen 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. Well, that's what they're doing now with these recycled Bigfoot stories, right? So our final example tonight came out on just this month, April 12th, 2025. And this is what really gets me angry. They cover it with a clickbaity yellow journalism title. It never happened, but the picture says it did. 28 fake images that fooled the world. And of course, they post frame 352 of the Patterson-Gimlin film. But yet, in the article, they say nothing to debunk it. Now, Chris has read the article because it's in the notes. Yeah. They say nothing. They don't talk about Wallace. They don't talk about Hieronymus. Yep. They have Steve Stryfer, who actually said And, it's never been conclusively debunked, and it still inspires obsessive study.
It's like these journalists are in an echo chamber. They have their narrative, and they only print what supports that narrative, and they completely ignore anything that doesn't support their narrative. They put that over in a different column, the buried column. But man, that's
but the funny thing is, the whole article underneath Frame 3, the Patterson Gimlin film,
right,
doesn't say anything about it being a hoax. It says it's been so exhaustively analyzed. No other scrap of film, apart from perhaps the Zapruder footage showing JFK's assassination, has been so exhaustively analyzed as the Patterson Gimlin film, named for the two cowboys who shot it, Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin. Right. In October of 1967, the two men rode into the woods of Northern California with a camera after a number of Sasquatch or Bigfoot sightings in the area. As the hairy figure emerged, Patterson said his horse panicked and reared up, and after a few seconds, he was able to grab his camera from a saddlebag and record a short snatch of footage before the creature disappeared into the tree line. Frame 352 of the figure turning to look at the camera remains the iconic image of the Bigfoot movement. Oh, now we're a movement. If anything's a movement, it's these cats with their bullshit narrative. The Patterson Gimlin film stands at a crucial place in photographic history, says Stephen Streufert, who has made a long-term study of the footage. It's either the greatest hoax ever or a stunning piece of wildlife imagery. Streufert co-led an expedition in 2011 to identify the film's remote wooded location, an effort that led him to being named Bigfoot Times Bigfooter of the Year. For Streufert, the film stands closer to the moon landing than the Cottingley fairies, as unlike the latter, it has never been conclusively debunked, and it still inspires obsessive study. Patterson died a few years after it was filmed, while Gimlin, now in his 90s, maintains that the footage shows a real Sasquatch. To the believers and some scientifically trained commentators, the figure it has inhuman proportions, a distinct gait, and visible muscle mass moving beneath its fur, all of which would be difficult to achieve if it was a person wearing a furry suit. Comparisons with the unconvincing costumes in Planet of the Apes, released a year later, suggest that if they were faking it, Patterson and Gimlin, both rodeo riders and horse wranglers, were highly skilled costume designers for their time.
Yeah, they created something that Hollywood couldn't dream of.
So they had a very unbiased, and in fact, they've had pretty much a pro-Bigfoot approach under the film, or under the title, the subtitle. Yeah. But the whole title trashes it. Right. Now, if you're just scanning through stuff, oh, look at that. Oh, this is fake. Why? Because the Guardian said it was fake. No, it didn't. Read the article. When you have a title that's irresponsible as this is an irresponsible title.
It never happened, but the picture says it did. 28 fake images that fooled the world.
It says fake images.
Yeah. Yeah.
That fooled the world.
Right.
Well, you're not showing us any proof that it fooled the world. How did it fool the world? How is it fake? You've talked more about it in the last paragraph that proves that it's real.
Well, we have to be honest and put on our media hats too. And we have to say, well, we weren't physically present there that day that footage was shot. So we can't tell you with any definitive, assurance if it's real or if it's not real. But I can tell you that I like it. I do. Right. I like it. Right. I would consider it being more of a possibility of being an actual creature than a creation of Patterson and Gimlin.
Not only do I like the film, but the story is probably one of the most investigated and detailed timelines you've ever seen from this. Right. This over the years have been treated like you would a crime scene or a crime investigation.
Right.
You know the times, you know the dates, you know the places, you know the people, you know the witnesses. Everybody that was involved had been interviewed over the years. Right. And then you have cats like Hieronymus and Philip Morris come along, who were never named for 35 plus years, and then I was the guy in the suit. Well, where's the suit? Oh, I ain't got it. Then you have the story mishmash, and you have the guy who said, I made the suit. Well, show us the receipt, Patterson bought it. Well, I don't have that anymore. But why would you throw it away? If you ask, why would you throw it away? That would be worth something, wouldn't it? No.
Then they try to remake it using advanced technology and advanced materials, which should have been just a breeze to brush through and make something look better than what the 1967 film showed. And instead, we got a fat Wookiee that was obviously a fake. I mean,
Right. But in truth, if you think about it, the Patterson Gimlin film is more debunked because of the misquotes on Ray Wallace in the media than it was Hieronymus.
Right.
Because I think the media realized, especially after their little stunt, right, that Hieronymus, tried to duplicate the film and it looked like crap, right?
Yeah.
It looked like crap. The media's like, this guy's not telling the truth. So they kind of push him aside, right? And then the only other person to cover their story is the charlatan from Menlo Park. The guy that has the name similar to an Italian cookie. And he did a whole film. I forget what he called it. Hoax of the Century, maybe. I don't know. That might have been his film on the Bigfoot body. I don't know. Where he tries to claim innocence despite saying he touched it, he smelled it, he felt it. But anyway, I don't want to digress into this. But yeah.
The man can literally change history.
Yeah.
At will. No, they fooled me too. No, I never touched it and felt it and smelled it. I don't know who said that.
You did on Fox News, CNN.
That's it.
Entertainment Tonight.
I don't know who said that. Yeah, okay.
But anyway, even the media has disowned him as well for the most part. So,
well, it's hard to keep promoting their guy when their guy has been exposed so many times for misleading the public.
So now what they do is they prey upon people that are in fantasy land a lot of times. That, I had this video of this guy who said he saw a Bigfoot and then it turned around and turned into a deer.
Oh, boy.
And of course, that's just more of the media putting that out there so people go, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I've seen that one you're talking about too. Was the guy a Native American or?
Yeah. Well, I think he was kind of, and he was like, it turned into a deer.
Oh dear. Yeah.
And oh dear.
Oh man.
I'm not playing the mic game all night long. It is what it is.
I'm fine. If you guys can hear me, that's all that matters. I'm not going to say anything important anyway.
Yeah, that's my last mic change. There's nothing I can do. Apparently, this is StreamYard doing what it's doing, and I actually have it on background, killing background.
I'm sorry, I should have muted that.
And that's pretty good, Nick. Yeah. He was cooked twice, 2005, 2008.
Didn't know that, but
did not know.
Arizona thing, is that what it was or something?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Hey, let's everybody pay your website fee to gain access to this live camera feed.
Right, yeah. Let's we have this live camera feed. It's just $9.99 a month or whatever the hell it was.
Just give us your credit card number. Just trust us, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. The Bigfoot isn't there. It was the woman fooled us. She said she had a Bigfoot, and we believed her so much that we told it on a national audience in front of millions of listeners without even proving that, without even going out there to see what she was saying was real.
But no refunds.
But no refunds. That's right.
Oh, that was great, man. That was just great. People have to go back. People would have to go back and listen to. Was that George Norrie at that time, or was that still?
That was George Norrie. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, and after that, he confronted Biscardi about refunds, and that's when he did that little apology video and said he would refund people, but he never. Even went. The reason why George banned him was he never did.
Yeah. Oh man. But that's how promoters work. They build a narrative.
Kaiju, I don't know if Art Bell ever talked to Biscardi. I think he was he got on George Norrie's radar, not Art Bell.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to remember, if it was Art Bell or George Norrie.
No, it was George Norrie.
Okay. It was George.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, it's been several years ago.
Yeah. 2005, but absolutely. I think when I got into Bigfoot research in 98, Art Bell was still doing the show, but I think he left in 2003. In fact, I'm going to look that up right now. And we'll get the answer relatively quick here. What?
You used to be able to listen to the older shows on their website, and I don't know if you can still, on the Coast to Coast website. I don't know if they still offer those now.
I have no.
You may have to. You may have to have a membership. I don't know, but yeah, it was a cool show. I mean, I used to listen to those quite a bit.
Okay, in January 2003, Bell left Coast to Coast AM permanently as its regular host, handing over full-time duties to George Norrie.
Yeah.
Post 2003, Bell occasionally hosted weekend shows and special appearances until final parting ways. So blah blah blah. So there you go. I was going to say, Art Bell used to be on at the time when. Media, radio media was big. Now it's either it's podcasts or it's.
Well, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, when I did a lot of truck driving.
So
Coast to Coast was really big on.
The infamous Bugs guy who claimed to have shot 2 Bigfoot in East Texas.
Yeah.
I forget the guy's first name, but his last name was Hale. But it was very thought to be this guy by the name of Hale, and many of the old timers say, yeah, that guy likes pulling people's legs, and that was that, and that's how it ended. In
I thought it was a guy called had a username called Bullet Maker.
No. Bullet Maker was the guy who claimed he was getting trail cam footage. He lived in Oklahoma.
Okay, he had lots of stories like that.
His real name, Bullet Maker, real name was Doug Bilby.
Okay.
And he passed away several years ago.
Shoot, I'm sorry to hear that. But he did have a lot of.
I think he was pulling people's legs too.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I like to listen to a good storyteller every now and then. Oh man. Let's see. Small Town Monsters interviewed a guy who supposedly shot Bigfoot. I can't believe they gave the guy a platform to spread lies. Well, Grant.
So, if you know the link to that video, if you can find me that video, I'd love to see it and analyze his behavior and his way he answers the questions. So, if you have that link, please email. Oh, it's Smedja.
Oh. Well, I can save you some time on that one.
Yes, I did do I have a proper analysis of Smeha done as well.
Yeah.
We will get into that. Okay. I'll get into a proper thing, but yeah. And why would you give him an audience? Well, Grant, or Boris, we had, was that Grant or Boris who said that? That was Grant. We were the first show ever to have Smeha on.
Yes.
And we had his driver on too. The other guy that was with him. And we did a tag team podcast actually between us, MNBRT Radio, and Crypto Four Corners Radio.
Yeah, 3 different streams going at the same time.
Right. And yeah, our RBS meter was going off. What really cinched it for me, excuse me. Sorry to clear my throat. What really did it for me was when he went on the $1 million Bigfoot bounty, and he basically changed his story. But I always say that with an air of caution, because I knew from the... I'll go into a little bit of story here, and then we're going to cut to our break. And I hope you guys enjoy the show for the break. And no, it's not a rap video. It's not the channel intro. But
yeah, we could talk.
I was originally going to be cast for the $1 million Bigfoot bounty. They came out to my house, filmed me, and talked to me, and wanted me. And then they were talking about teaming me up with possibly Tim Fasano. And Tim and I did not get along at the time, and I didn't really consider Tim all that credible, to tell you the truth, at the time, because there were some issues with a noise from, where he had this sighting near a road, and then he had faked an internet site claiming to be somebody else, and then attacked me. So, and then I heard the context, and I said, it sounds like they want us to fabricate evidence. And I do not do that. And, it's a contest, and that cheapens the whole thing. So I wrote him an email back after they come out, and I said, after a long consideration and thinking about this, I decline to be on the program. Now, wow, that would have been a ticket to stardom for a little while, wouldn't it? But that's how much integrity I have. I was turned that down. I was asked, and the funny thing was, I was asked to be on the Bob Saget show when he was alive. And they were going to have me and another guy from down Connecticut Hill in New York State. And I knew this guy, and he's a little, I'm going to be kind. He's a little bit out there, right? And I declined. I know, a comedian doing the show, no. So instead of coming to New York, they went to the Pacific Northwest, and they had Matt Moneymaker and Cliff Barrickman and Bobo Fay. And that was the springboard for finding Bigfoot. So I will not knock my integrity at the cost of $1. I've always said this. If somebody comes to me with a project, it's got to be one that I have to be behind 100%, or I'm not behind it. Simple as that.
Well, when we had Smeha on the show that night, and I asked him the question that was going to tell me whether or not he had actually done what he had said. I asked him, what did the small creature look like in the face, its facial features, because he was right up on it, and he would have been able to describe its facial features in various detail, and some details that, I was expecting to hear. And instead, he said that it reminded him of a boxer dog in the face. Well, right there, I knew he was lying. But here's where alarm bells went off over at the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, because some of those people over there, and I won't mention any names of the higher up people, but they were being fooled by a Chewbacca costume into thinking that a Bigfoot looked like had a dog's nose. Okay, it's like Chewbacca. You guys seen Star Wars, so they were being fooled into thinking that a actual real Bigfoot had a nose that looks like a dog's, and in fact, that is incorrect.
Right. Yeah. And that was like the Katoomba, the 2005 Katoomba Yowie video that we debunked. But anyway,
Yeah.
okay, folks, I want you all to think of some questions to pop out about tonight's topic and about, if you want to talk about some more Smeha stuff, think of some questions. We're going to take our top of the hour break. It's going to be about 4 minutes long. Enjoy. And we'll see you at the second half of the show.
Late night, cameras rolling. Just the facts, that's all we need. 2 men on a mission, following the evidence. Yeah, no more tall tales, no more make-believe. Scientific method, that's what makes us believe. Truth hunters in the night, truth hunters. Truth hunters in the night, yeah. Won't stop until we find truth hunters in the night, truth hunters till we die. Equipment calibrated, every footprint analyzed. No room for speculation, just the data, just the signs. No more fairy tales, no more wasted time. Real investigation, that's our paradigm. Truth hunters in the night, truth hunters in the night. Won't stop until we find truth hunters in the night, truth hunters till we die. We're not here for fiction, not here for fantasy. Just pure dedication to what our eyes can see. Truth hunters in the night, truth hunters in the night, yeah. Won't stop until we find truth hunters in the night, truth hunters till we die. Truth hunters in the night, truth hunters.
Is Bigfoot real? Or just one of the greatest mysteries of our time? Step into the world of Steve Kulls, the Squatch Detective. With over 400 pages of science-backed theory, Bigfoot, a scientific examination, is the definitive exploration of the Sasquatch phenomenon. Dig deeper with the Squatch Detective's Guide to Bigfoot Investigations, a must-read for serious researchers. Gain critical insight with the psychology of Bigfoot, the guide to understanding Bigfoot witnesses and their claims. And then what would Sasquatch do? Volume 2, uncover what Bigfoot may have in common with its ancient primate ancestors. Explore the evidence. Challenge the claims. All books available now on Amazon.
And we are back. Hello, everybody.
And I've been looking back through and trying to highlight some questions here.
Yes, the one I saw was platypus. Demonic or delicious?
Oh, man. Mick's got some good points.
Yes, we are one less in chat right now, at least for the next 3 minutes.
Well, they're probably out making popcorn.
No. There was one that
Oh, okay.
I do not like dealing with negativity. I am getting sick and tired of it, so I will not deal with negativity.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is from Mick. Mick says Ray Wallace did claim to have taught a lesson to some city guys who talked about rednecks, and he used his stompers in that regard.
There you go.
But nothing that hoaxed researchers. I could accept that.
I see a journalistic is teaching Bigfoot yoga in Western New York. A journalist is teaching Bigfoot yoga in Western New York. 9 Chins got my IP address. That's a good name. Well, welcome. That's interesting. I'll have to check that out.
I'm going to put this up too. Tackle Tactician said his son's band, Yellowbanks, will be playing at Mammoth Valley Park May the 30th. It's
Excellent.
I'm sure that's in Kentucky. So if anybody wants to get out and see that. And also check out, don't forget to check out Henry May's YouTube channel. Henry May's HBM's Cryptid Corner. I think he used to call it Crypto Corner, but I think he's changed it to Cryptid Corner, unless I'm just remembering that wrong. But anyway, check out Henry's channel.
I'm going to start a new podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and I am going to talk in questions, and I'm going to call it Steve's Cryptic Corner.
That would be good. Yes. Give everybody clues, and if they can figure out what the question is.
Yes. This week's episode: rock, paper, or scissors.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that would work, but I don't know.
Okay.
Could build curiosity. Now, I did turn my mic up a little bit. Is it still okay? I'm not blaring or anything, am I?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
What do I think? Hilton, a.k.a. Faster Man Chris, he asks, what do we think became of the original Minnesota Iceman? Don't know.
I know what became of it. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Go ahead. Go away.
It's in a museum in Texas right now. I can't think of the name of it. I think it's Texas. But
yes.
Exhibit went on sale on eBay some years ago. And while I was debating, sweet talking my wife into letting me buy this thing, because, we have a relationship to where if one of us is going to spend thousands of dollars for an item, we discuss it with the other first prior to doing so. This saves problems. And anyway, after we got done with our discussion, I went back to buy it, and it was sold. Somebody had hit buy it now. And so that went to the museum, and gosh, I can't remember the name of it, but I'm going to look it up now. It was somewhere in Texas, I believe that's right.
Heat 8 said it melted. No, that was Frosty the Snowman, not the Minnesota Iceman.
Let's see. Minnesota Iceman. I'm going to put present location. See if my internet skills, the internet helps me out here. Okay.
There's a question if I can post my books in chronological order on the website. I'll start a bibliography for that at some point on the website for you. But the order, I can tell you off the top of my head, was 50 large. What would Sasquatch do? Sasquatch Playbook. Psychology of Bigfoot. Bigfoot, a scientific examination. Squatch Detective's Guide to Bigfoot Investigation. And finally, What Would Sasquatch Do? Number 2.
And the Minnesota Iceman is in a Museum of the Weird in Austin, Texas. It's currently owned by Steve. It's either Busty or Boosty.
Oh yeah, Steve Boosty. Yep.
So Steve, if you're out there watching, bud, if you ever want to sell it, hit me up, okay?
What Chris still has to ask his wife.
I'll still like to have it. She said yes years ago. I'm going to hold her to that.
He talks about not starting problems.
Yes. Oh, we already talked about this. Don't
Remember 17 years ago you said it was okay.
That's like
but it went up threefold.
When I would buy a new hunting accessory, I would hide it in the closet for several months, and then when I would finally pull it out, where did this come from? Oh, I've had that thing forever. Yeah. And Robert Dubin says, "Do you think these creatures are native to the Americas or Asia? If this Earth..."
Well, that's kind of a tough worded question, because Homo sapiens are now native to North America. This is why, hence, we call the original folks that were here when the Europeans landed, we called them Native Americans. If you say, do we think we originated in Asia versus the Americas, the creatures originate here or in Asia? My guess would be Asia, with all the other animals at the time of the Bering Strait being a solid landmass and everything moved over. That's why we have mastodons in New York, mastodon skeletons in New York, and the like. And I think that's the hominins, especially hominids, came from the Asiatic, because it goes back that hominins were either created in Asia or in Africa or in the Middle East, and there were some that formulated in the again Asia and the islands, like the Denisovans, as Chris likes to say. I almost said Denisovans. Chris, I'll be right back.
That's fine. Either one.
I'll be right back.
Depending on where you're standing, you can say Denisovan or you can say Denisovan. Tomato. But I think I would agree. I think they probably come from Asia, and they would have crossed the land bridge at one time to get down to the good old States, probably seeking some warmer weather. And you can't really blame them, because at one time, it was really cold. We had a lot of glaciers around here. But there's a study on some tracks that were found in White Sands National Park in New Mexico, and they found some mummified tracks. Okay, these are tracks that were preserved in over the ages, and they really, if you hadn't done any reading on those, you need to check them out, because that really changes a lot of things we think we knew. Like we thought Clovis man would be around the first people that was in the United States using tools. And that was around, 12, 14,000 years, maybe 16,000 years ago. And I think that's the oldest evidence of human civilization or activity in the United States. And in fact, that's incorrect. These tracks in White Sands, New Mexico, were determined to be from 21 to 23,000 years old. So, and they're alongside tracks of other animals like the giant sloths and things of that nature. So it's really cool. If you haven't checked out that subject, check them out. It was the tracks found at White Sands, New Mexico. And I think they're still doing some work on those. And they dated those by dating the seeds that they found in the same layer. And it's really cool read. If you hadn't already, it's well worth the look. So let's see what we got here. Okay, that one's for Steve. I'm going to star that one, Mick. And Grant says they were nomads that followed where the food went. I believe that's correct, Grant. And, and when we were in a period of cooling and we had major ice sheets advancing on the continent, the only place they could have went to gain a little relief from that and the animals would be to follow them south. So I wouldn't blame them a bit. And there's Steve's back. And Mick's got a question. Says, Steve, what are your thoughts on trying to replicate evidence just to see if it's legitimate, as opposed to creating something to hoax people?
Well, I will say this. It depends in what context. For example, the Vermont trail cam photo, we actually put a person in a ghillie suit in front of that camera.
Yeah.
We're trying to replicate it. That's a perfectly fine line. But if somebody's going to dress up in a Bigfoot costume or create stompers and stomp around, I will never do that. There's enough science to look at, like tracks. Would I ever create phony tracks to see how they would work? Well, I guess there is a scientific application for that, but I would caution that. I mean, somebody said, hey, you know what? You should get a Bigfoot costume and go as Bigfoot. And Halloween, no, absolutely not. I do not want to own a Bigfoot costume. Nope.
Absolutely. Right.
No, because because some years later, that'll come back to haunt you if we find the real deal. Absolutely. We get a video. Oh, well, hey, I saw that guy, by the way, buy a Bigfoot costume, or ordered Bigfoot costume on Amazon or whatever. No, I won't do it.
And see, that's one of the things. If you do a Bigfoot documentary, in my opinion, all the best Bigfoot documentaries features a recreation of a sighting that they're currently covering or investigating. And to do that, you've got to have, of course, a guy in a suit, an actor. But rather than trying to do that yourself, I think you're going to have to pay out for somebody that owns the suit to do the professional work.
I would not even do that, because you're either going to be a say, like, it makes no surprise that Chris and I are in the works. We're getting set up to do a documentary, and you know that. And
I think he was going to tell that, bro.
Yeah, no, it's all right. And the recreation portion of it, I would do it by imagination. I wouldn't do it justice using somebody in a costume, because it would never look real anyway, right? So I would rather just have somebody stand there, like for example, in I'm trying to think which episode. Mysterious Monsters and Mysteries in America, which aired as on the NatGeo channel as Paranormal in Asia and Australia. They never recreated, which I thought was brilliant. They wanted me to recreate my sighting. And that, you'll see the flash on the channel of me holding that flashlight. And that was actually video of me recreating the sighting. Instead of putting somebody with a costume out there, what they did was they put a camera out there with a distorted view. And that represented the creature looking back at me, shining the light. So I thought that was a very creative way of doing it without putting something hokey in it. And I think that if we do recreations, if we ever do recreations, it would be more of you get more of a mystery by what you don't see than what you do see.
Right.
And I'm certainly not going to have a hand come over and reach and grab an apple, because you ain't going to find no Gorilla Gloves in my truck.
As a researcher, in order to protect your credibility from any future accusations, false accusations, it's best not to even think about owning a Bigfoot suit. Or a pair
of here we go.
Why? Gary Johnson Sr. says, why does Steve Kulls thinks he's 100% honest in Bigfooting?
Chris, why don't you answer that question?
Why does he think that he's 100% honest in Bigfooting?
Oh, I don't think.
Because he is absolutely 100% honest in Bigfooting. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no question whatsoever.
Chris did not come to be the co-host of this show necessarily because I asked, but because he knows the background of a lot of different things that occurred over the years.
Right.
I have turned down opportunities at fame and opportunities of money in the 5 figures, 6 figures, to not be honest or to not talk about a particular object or an item or a particular event. And I wouldn't do it.
Well, I'll tell you what it boils back to, Gary. You can go back to the 2008, 2007 Bigfoot hoax, okay? The Georgia body hoax. Steve had the opportunity there to keep his mouth shut, to sign a non-disclosure agreement and walk away with money in his pocket by promoting a fake body as something real, a hoax. And at that point, Steve said no. He would not damage his integrity. And that's all a man has. You have your integrity. And you can either rely on that or you can throw it out the window. And that's what makes a man's character. And what Steve did in that situation, and you got to put yourself in that situation. Well, what would you have done? Ask yourself that. What would I have done? Would I have taken the money and just said nothing? Just let everybody be hoaxed. It's okay. I'm making a lot of money. Or would you say absolutely no, will not? Well, Steve proved to the world what he's a man of character. He walked away and said, no, this is a hoax. I'm absolutely not going to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I don't care if it costs me my job. I don't care if it costs me my income. I don't care if it costs me a lot of friends. I'm not going to do it. And that is what sold me that Steve Kulls is a man of character right there. And,
In fact, I wouldn't convict somebody without the proper evidence.
Right. Yeah.
People wanted me to pull the lever on the hangman's noose
At that
moment when I didn't have the evidence, and I wouldn't do it. I didn't pull it until I had the evidence.
Right. Exactly. That was the responsible thing to do, and what someone of good character would
Well, that's investigative principle 101.
Exactly.
You don't convict somebody you don't even. I mean, if you look at how correct they've gotten that, now it's like they don't call somebody a suspect; they call them a person of interest.
Right.
In other words, a suspect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pete.
Yep. Thank you, Pete. Yes, we don't have to wonder about Steve's honesty. We know, okay?
If something's not real, I'm going to say it's not. If I think it's not real, I'm going to say I think it's not real. If my own evidence, that's why I review my own evidence every few years. Technology increases, and for example, in the item we talked about last week, I'm still looking at that. And as more evidence, as more technology is built, the more I will keep applying it to these mysteries because I want answers as much as you people do. I'm in this because I was a professional investigator. That's what I enjoy, investigation. I don't enjoy fantasy. I don't enjoy conspiracy theory without fact. Like there is the 9/11 truthers that I just tune right out. I can't, I'm sorry, not my thing. But I think they're there's enough evidence to put that aside. The flat earthers, no, thank you. The fake moon landing, it's like, oh God, But there are some things that do interest me. The JFK assassination.
Oh, after Jesus, I always say, what would Steve do?
No, don't, because I might have a great integrity. Listen.
I love it, but he ain't all that.
I may have integrity. I may have honesty, but that does not make me not a flawed person. I mean, I can be short-tempered. Absolutely, people seen that.
Steve doesn't claim to be holier than thou. Okay, but there's a reason that
I'm not always right.
And you're big enough.
And I don't know if Lori is still here, but Like I said, I admitted, I think it was last month, I made a mistake in kind of shooting down Lori. I apologize. And I apologize then. I apologize tonight about that if Lori's still out there. I was wrong in that. And I had to think about that after a while. Now, let me get into the next point. There was a person in chat that's been in chat for weeks and months and months and months that I boot banned for 5 minutes because they're being negative, and I'm getting sick and tired of this consistent negativity. So I missed that.
If Steve, if Kaiju Ninja 1985 says, Grant, have you seen Steve appear on a piece of toast? If that happens, please let me know. I would be interested in purchasing an image of Steve Kulls on a piece of toast.
Look, the butter formed his beard.
That would be good. Oh, but no, I'm fully confident that had Steve threw his integrity out the window and its honesty out the window, he could have signed a non-disclosure agreement and to this day still be drawing residuals from a certain deal on promoting that hoax.
Yeah.
And he did not do that. So Finding the Trackway says a slice of toast with Steve's figure just sold for $106,678 on eBay. The bread itself would be worth more.
No, I'm getting roasted.
You guys listening on the podcast, you're going to have to go over to the YouTube channel and read some of the chats while on the replay.
Good Lord.
Hilarious. Oh. But, yeah, you only have one integrity. And once it's gone, you can't get it back. It's gone.
Nope.
So, just that's the thing I always like to do. I like to say, ask yourself, what would you have done? What would you do when you think about it? What's your integrity worth? Is it worth $1 million? If somebody gave you $1 million and said, all you got to do is lie and continue to lie, would you take that $1 million and do it?
That's the other thing too, is I'm loyal as a mutt. I'm gonna ask Chris. I'm loyal as a mutt. But
absolutely.
But don't ever cross me. Don't ever not cross me. Don't ever try to use me. Don't ever try to abuse me. And I wish I was getting toasted.
You're not getting roasted. You're getting toasted.
Yeah, that's true.
Grant can't be bought. Good, Grant. Good
man.
And Grant says, happy 250 years and 1 day since Paul Revere Sasquatch warned us about the British coming.
That's right. That was yesterday, Patriots Day.
Wow. Yeah. And we're coming up on, it just seems like yesterday we were celebrating the bicentennial. And I'm not sure what we're going to call this one. The bicentennial and a half.
I was going to say that too. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure there's probably a term for it that.
Boris said he can be rented, though.
Can be rented.
Depends on what the renting is for.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I rent myself every day to my employer.
That's true. That's true.
We're all rented at one point or another, unless you own your own company.
You rent them your time from your life, out of your daily life. Sure do, every day.
Yeah, I think we're pretty clear that the media is a bunch of bullshit now. I mean, it's only gotten worse. You don't know who to trust. You have all these media sources that you have to double check to make sure it's accurate, unbiased.
Right. And that's everything. Yeah. You got to watch watch what you read, because a lot of times it may not be accurate.
Right. You know, and skepticism is a whole industry in of itself too.
Right.
You know, you can have a skeptical podcast and you shoot down everything and not look at the other side's evidence. Absolutely.
Yeah. If you omit the facts that don't agree with you, with your
Thank you,
opinion,
Mick.
you can create a different narrative. Mulder told him, trust me. That makes sense.
Yeah. You don't get around to the truth. And this is just the pure investigator in me. You got to understand. I'm used to dealing with, or you was used to dealing with crimes and victims and suspects and law and liaison between law enforcement and attorneys and all this other stuff. You don't mess around there, and that's just the way I run. And when I came into this as an investigator. I didn't come in, and that's the way that we're going to solve this, is through investigation and science, not through, well, it could be this or it could be that. Well, what can you prove? And maybe this and maybe that, but and here's the arguments for it if we can't figure it out. Like the whole prison video. I can't say that's a Bigfoot or some primate. That somebody did happen to sneak into the fair. I just find it really strange because it makes no logical sense to me that somebody would just let their little primate go up in a tree at night and never get it back. Because we know there was somebody else there because it was that tall object walking in the background. You look at stuff like that, it boggles the mind, and it befuddles my mind too that people can come up, and this is just the microcosm of the planet Earth, I suppose, that people can come up with, well, I believe it was an antenna on a car, and they have little bobs on them, and well, yeah, okay, yeah, and it could be a little fairy flying over too that's on the tree as well. I mean, at that point, you have about as much evidence of that as this, right? Or I see a little red in that pool of water over there, and there must have been a Bigfoot massacre. It just people lack. I guess it's my impatience towards the lack of investigative knowledge that people have. They want to claim they're investigators and analysts, yet they lack the proper skill in training necessarily, and they're looked at in some circles like they know more than everybody else, and they do not. Because I can sit there and I don't want to rail on Thinker Thunker, because some of the work I disagree with, some of the work I do agree with. I will be fully honest with that. He was a little thin-skinned when it came to the whole boating video and then the phony head in the shop. But the fact is that, at the end of the day, he's not a true investigator. That's the only way you solve something, is through a culmination of different disciplines. Yeah. As an investigator, you rely on forensics, you rely on medical reports, you rely on a number of them, engineering reports, you can rely on a fire investigator's report, you have to rely on a civil engineer's report, a structural analysis report. There are so many different things depending on what you're looking at that investigation is a multidiscipline science. That where my area of expertise, I have a bunch because I've been thrust into them. But my interview and interrogation, that was my original thing. I believe that, Grant. I believe that for wholeheartedly.
Well, Jen's got a question for you, Steve. Because Steve, between the paranormal, ghost hunting, and Bigfootery, which do you feel has more evidence?
Bigfooting. Bigfoot definitely has more evidence. Remember, a plaster cast, a footprint, we can hold, we can feel, we can look at, we can measure, we can examine, we can look at it over and over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another question too by Mick. We'll get to that one next. Okay. So to me, you have a lot of subjective evidence. You know, did you hear that EVP? And thank you, Mick.
Oh, Mick. Mick gifted 5 Bigfoot Mysteries, Squatch-D.
Yep, and just for the members, I did this week upload the entire unedited prison video and the enhancement video too for people watching the membership area too. So
you can get the conversation that went along with the video too. Mm-hmm. Although it is about burning cans or something. So
the more cans we burn,
yes, it's important.
There will be. I believe it. I believe it. That I believe.
Let's go ahead and get Mick's other question here, Steve.
Yeah.
So, Steve, your show has been recorded live since the beginning. Have you ever thought of producing your own 1-hour documentaries or investigative Sasquatch series?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of things on the table right now. A lot of things. Lots of things. And there's Chris with the little evil laugh. A lot of things on the table. Chris and I discuss it quite a bit.
Grant, was that you last week that said it's okay to burn 1 can but not 2 cans?
2 cans, yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you didn't have a platypus joke in there too somewhere.
Oh, we did. The platypus, demonic or delicious?
Yeah. I'll never know. Oh man.
Sasquatch in the night, exchanging tree knocks. That one's too light. Maybe I'll throw a rock.
Kaiju Ninja says burning cans is his way of recycling. You know, I know this is stupid, but I watched a video of a guy melting cans the other day on video on YouTube. I think it was like 12 minutes long or something, and that was fascinating. I don't know what it was, just the sound or watching the aluminum melt, but I watched him melt these cans.
You know, it is a primate. I think it's a Homo sapien, probably a Homo erectus and a Neanderthalensis reaction too. We probably do get mystified by looking at fire. We do. That's why we all enjoy sitting around a fire and just looking at it. It's mesmerized us.
Well, at some point a few years ago, there was a study done that watching a fire registers the same amount of brain activity as watching television.
Oh, hang on. I got to ask Boris, did he win? Did he win? I'm kind of curious. Because tonight, is WrestleMania tonight? The last day of it?
Oh, I have no idea.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't follow the wrestling anymore. The last time I went to a wrestling match was at one of the...
so he won it. Yeah. I knew that because they wanted him to tie with Flair. That's why.
Oh, well, Grant's got a point here. It says, if Bigfoot's observed people, why wouldn't they steal their fire and use it to cook food with it?
Because, well, here's the thing. Why don't chimpanzees do that? Because it is beyond, for example, primates that are not familiar with fire and what its process actually fears fire. If you read, hang on. For example, in Bigfoot, a scientific examination, I discuss wildfires in Bigfoot. And in it, we discuss what other primates do during wildfires. And then you'll understand why they do not steal our fire.
There have been reports of Bigfoot creatures being observed near someone's campfire while they were away from it.
Right. They watch it.
Right. They were more interested in looking at it rather than actually touching it. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe, they probably have a knowledge of fire, but they don't have the, what do you call it, Steve?
Well, they don't have the reasoning necessarily or the technology to use it.
Right.
You understand why doesn't a chimpanzee use a wheel? Or why don't they've been, I don't know if they've been seen to use levers, prying things up. Maybe to dig, but I don't think they've ever used it in a mechanical way. It's a thought process. We as Homo sapiens have this mechanical type of process, and creating fire and the use of fire, believe it or not, is a mechanical process. It's using something as a tool, right? As a complicated tool. We have to create it, and then we use it. We use it to cook our food. We use it to melt things. We use it to, I got a damn string on my thing. Let me burn it. Silly things like that, too.
Knowledge and use of fire is taught among humans.
Correct. We're not born knowing how to use fire.
Yeah. That's why you got to, watch the kids around the campfire and things,
And like I say, when you don't know, if you have no working knowledge of something, sometimes you fear it. I mean, the first reaction to seeing something that is overwhelming to you is fear, followed by, mesmerization. Because a lot of times people watch fire because it's still mystical. It's still a mystery. It's very interesting how the wood is the fuel and the fire is heat, and the oxygen feeds it and it produces this smoke and it produces these coals and these coals produce heat and it's a mesmerizing process to some.
I think.
Good God, I sound like a serial arsonist, for God's sakes.
I think watching fire stimulates thought. I think it stimulates your mind into thinking. Same way as mowing the lawn. Back when we could ride one, you put me out there on a riding lawnmower, and I could solve the world's problems. While I'm mowing the lawn. So
Grant, what you got to understand is that just giving monkeys fire isn't the same. It's not the same. But it is actually, it is the same. Remember, if they do not have the advanced mechanical aptitude that a Homo sapien has, and it proves they don't, if you think about it. We've never seen them fashion tools. We've never seen them use anything other than a simple tool like a stick or a stone, right? We don't see them making fire. Otherwise, we'd find their campfires. So we know they have no ability, like a chimpanzee, like a gorilla, like an orangutan, like a billy ape, like a bonobo. They have no apt use of those things. So when you say, just giving monkeys fire isn't the same, you may learn to observe and they may try to mimic, but, does it mean that maybe someday they'll figure it out? Possibly. But then again, they would actually have to be really close up to see what's going on. If you're watching something from afar, all they see is somebody bent over doing stuff and fire.
Who was it, Steve, that was it Ivan Marks, I think, reported that he had seen or witnessed Bigfoot digging for clams with sticks, but that's Ivan Marks. Okay. So, is he telling us a story or?
Right.
But now,
but that Ivan Marks was a smart guy. Let's put it this way. Is it possible that a Bigfoot could have done it? Absolutely. Did he actually see it? I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt any of his Bigfoot sightings. That's why I've always really kind of winced about the whole Bosberg track things, because he ran out and found them. And, Renee DeHinden was in the passenger seat. Yeah.
And it's also possible that at the time he made those remarks, that could have been about the same time Jane Goodall was releasing information about chimpanzees using a stick to get termites too. You know,
Kaiju Ninja has another great question too. These are some great questions tonight. Do you think they were dangerous like evil demon that can produce the element? No. Again, that's anthropomorphization of what they think. We can't think like a Sasquatch. So when we try to reason it, we're trying to think like us. Maybe they think we're demons. No, that's something we would think. Like somebody can, right, do it without their hands.
Well, you know, they obviously think there's something about us to avoid. Obviously, right. So there's maybe some reason for that. Maybe they've had some bad experiences with human beings in the past. You know, I could think that. I mean, the first people they approached were settlers. The settlers were tough.
Think about. No, I think their first experiences with people were the Native Americans. Not necessarily settlers. I mean, Native Americans were all over the country.
Right.
And they had fires. So they've been seeing fires for years, and they've been seeing people for years. And of course, they probably have some caution because the Native Americans were notorious hunters. That's all they did. That's how they got their meat. That's how, And so I'm thinking to myself, and you're right, Mick, they don't understand the concept of demons. They don't understand. What they understand is the concept is that thing dangerous? And yes, they are.
I think Robert Den Dubin's got it. They avoid our boomstick.
Yeah, and that would make sense too. But then again, they may hear the boomsticks and go in search of what the boomstick may have dropped.
Excuse me.
Right? Because how many times do we have hunter reports that their deer carcass was scurried away? So that's something they may have learned. Okay, they have done something. We know when they hear that noise, that means the potential of something dropping dead that we can grab and eat ourselves. Again, path of least resistance, less energy expended type of attitude. And that's the same tact that a lot of primates use, like the chimpanzees. Something is available, we're going to take advantage of that. And we've seen that in other lower primates like baboons and macaques, and they will, and there's some cities that, even capuchins, the wild capuchins will come in and grab stuff. Why? Because it's the path of least resistance. It's the easiest thing. They don't have to go hunt for it. They just steal it. Because in the animal kingdom, there is no 10 commandments. There is no, laws. It's there. I'm taking it.
Yeah. Jay Carey says bears in northern Montana have learned that.
There you go.
Could absolutely learn it.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
I've never experienced that, but certainly wouldn't want one running up on me after I shot a deer.
Well, I think the ones that have disappeared is where the hunter has to go and search for the deer, and they're tracking it, right. And then all of a sudden, there's the area where that fell, and it's gone.
It's gone, yeah. That would make sense.
I don't think a Bigfoot would move in closer to a hunter because of that boomstick. Right.
No.
I doubt it. Again, their process is not as, in depth as us. Mechanics are tough for them. The same thing with chimpanzees. We can have a chimpanzee push buttons on a computer or even swipe a screen. Simple, very simple stuff. But try to have a chimpanzee dial a phone number or, start a chat on, Chat GPT. I doubt very much that'd be.
Now there are some stories about
and there's Jen. My office assistants found a brand new squeaky toy in the grass outside yesterday. Grabbed it, ran straight to the door to get back inside. Nature's law of mind. Very true. Very good point.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, and that video of a chimp shooting that is AI. Believe it or not, it's not real.
I've seen
Not
that.
AI. It was CGI. I'm sorry.
That's so good too. That's so
Yeah.
good.
That's CGI.
That was actually done as part of a promotion series of videos for the release of Planet of the Apes, the new one.
Oh yeah.
That was hilarious. So
Right. Yeah. It is. It is hilarious. Yeah. That was. Now that I think about it, I did not know that was done for the Planet of the
it
Apes.
was. Yeah, it's hilarious, man. Yeah, they hand him the
Kind of like the Mississippi Skunk Ape video. That was made for the Beasts of the Bayou.
yeah. Oh, it's good though.
Okay, Mick. God bless, and let us know how you do. Keep in touch, brother. Be safe. Hope everybody's okay.
See you, Mick. Careful. Buddy.
No, Grant, the puppy monkey baby isn't real. Puppy monkey baby. Yeah. That thing creeped out so many people.
Puppy monkey baby.
If you haven't seen that, check it out.
I haven't seen that, no. Puppy monkey baby. All right, I'll look it up. Is that on YouTube?
You probably can find it on YouTube.
Okay, I'll find it somewhere. I'll just type it.
I can't show it here because we'll get we'll get tagged for.
Yeah. It's in a new commercial. Okay.
Oh no, not again. But
Faster Man says my guess is they are more intelligent than any of the great apes. I would probably agree with that. They've got to be
in certain aspects.
Why?
In certain aspects. Remember, they're adapted to the terrain they are naturally born into.
Right.
So they may appear smarter than other animals, than like chimpanzees. But then you look at chimpanzees in their own habitats and some of their own problem-solving abilities. Right. And you would be remiss to say, wow, gorillas learning to sign, chimpanzees playing video games, simple video games. They're not playing like adventure games or, World of Warcraft or anything like that, but they're playing games where if they hit a button, it does something, and boom, 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 and they're watching on a TV screen. They can do that. And if they get to a certain goal, they get a treat. Again, treat driven, right? So, or a prize driven, and I'm sure if they gave it, instead of a treat, like a banana or something, if they gave it a doll or something, it'd probably do the same thing because they're getting something for winning the game. It gives them motivation to play the game because they get bored with it. But if they know they're going to get something, they'll keep playing it so they can get the reward.
Check out some of the videos where they're checking, they're playing with chimpanzees. They're playing a memory game. It's amazing how fast and how good these little guys are about remembering, like pictures.
Right.
They show them pictures and they touch it on a screen, on a touch screen.
Right.
And then, of course, if they do it right, they give them a treat. But some of those little guys was whipping through those memory tests faster than I ever could.
Their recognition is incredible. So we can expect the same of a Bigfoot, that they would have this incredible recognition. What we do know, and of course you'll find this in the all new edition of What Would Sasquatch Do Volume 2, another cheap plug. They have incredible recognition, and they can not only recognize by eyesight, they can recognize by hearing, they can remember auditory prompts like a voice or a name, like a voice. I mean, dogs can do that too, for crying out loud, but there is really acute.
realizing their ability.
Smell. We can assume that they smell something. They'll recognize the smell of it being a certain condition, like a forest fire, or somebody's cooking food. All right. Or, oh, that's duty. You know, they'll recognize the smells.
Yeah. Once we realize their abilities to perceive, their perception and their memory is so good, now we understand why they're able to stick their head out from the side of the tree for just a second and then go back in.
Right.
Because they've got a good look at you, and they could probably remember everything you're wearing. You know, maybe not understand what it is, but what it looked like. So it's amazing.
So anyway, Chris, it is that time to wrap the show.
We have been here for 2 hours. It don't seem like it. I've had an exceptionally good time tonight, I guess. But I always have a good time on the show. This is the most I laugh during the week, and it makes me feel good. I hope you guys feel good too. But thank everybody in chat for joining us. We appreciate you guys. Thanks to all our members. We appreciate you supporting the channel. You guys over and listen on the podcast. You know, check out the YouTube channel over at youtube.com/@squatchdtv. And if you haven't already, smash the subscribe button. Hit the like button on your way out if you hadn't already. It helps us with that daily battle against the YouTube algorithm. And again, we thank you so much. You're the greatest audience we could ever hope to have. And we really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's a pleasure that you would choose to hang out with us on Sunday nights, and Wednesdays and Fridays we're available. So thank you guys. We really appreciate you.
And geez, I want to thank there's a bunch of starred questions we never did get.
I starred a bunch up there. I don't know if we went through some of them.
One of them is about does this media bias also apply to the Bigfoot reality TV shows?
Yeah.
They ignore them for a lot of parts, or they make jokes about them. Like when Finding Bigfoot was doing the talk show circuit, you know, all the hosts were like, "Oh, you guys look for a Bigfoot!" You know. So yeah, I think it does apply. But anyway, I want to thank Lori for the super sticker, Larry and Mick for donating memberships to folks. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And, you know, and folks that are new members, enjoy the members area. We're starting to pumping a little more content into that as stuff becomes available. And, it's been a great show tonight. I'm glad everybody had a good time tonight. And we will be back Wednesday night, of course, at 9 p.m. Eastern for an all-new Squatch-D TV Live. And folks, always keep an eye out. You'll get the notification when I upload a video. So if we drop a video here or there. Now this is the time of year we're going to start dropping videos again, because we're going to be out in the field and we're going to be doing stuff. And you know, it's starting to get my schedule kind of bound up a little bit where I can start to do things, which is good. But folks, we want to wish everybody a happy and safe week. And you know, we'll catch you all midweek. And again, we do have the greatest audience out there. We appreciate every single one of you. We love you guys. And hey, we'll catch you Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Squatch-D TV. Peace out.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member, and it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.